Hey everyone, it's Vin from the Two on the Vine podcast. With me is KY.
Hey guys, how you doing tonight?
Hey,
Hey.
well, KY, how was your holidays? Good?
Yeah, they were pretty swell. How were your holidays?
Pretty good. Just in time to tell you guys about a new t-shirt
What?
that we have. We've got a Two on the Vine sorry. It's a problem that I have. I go radioitis. Do you get that too?
Yeah, like where the second you go on the air, you have to put on your best radio voice, and yours just is not that good. I hate to say.
Damn. Well, I guess I'll never be a radio host, but as a podcast co-host, I have some exciting news. How's that for a segue? I have a very exciting news for all of you, and that is we have our first Two on the Vine t-shirt hosted by Teespring,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a very cool t-shirt. It's got the logo that you're all familiar with, and it's made of godly materials. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I just made that up. And I've been informed just now by my fake self that that is not true. It's a t-shirt with our logo on it.
Yeah, and when does this campaign go live, Vinny?
Right now. In
What?
fact, it may have been live before I even said anything.
Really?
Yeah.
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. So I could buy this right now.
That's cray-cray. But here's the thing. You could buy it now. And on a serious note, it actually helps us pay for the podcast hosting.
Mm-hmm.
So it is actually, if you buy this shirt, not only does it look good and feel good, it helps us keep this podcast going.
It does. It helps us pay the hosting fees. So not only can you look at your swaggiest when you're walking down the road, but you can also help support the show. So
Who said that?
the website you need to go to is Teespring. That's TEE spring.com/2. That's the number 2 on the Vine. There you will find the t-shirt.
That's right. Teespring.com/2 on the Vine with the number 2.
Now, while you were typing up the description to this, I actually secretly recorded you saying some very sensual, embarrassing things into the mic, and I'm going to play that right now for you.
Okay.
Here we go.
Raises your skin, lightly grazes your nerve endings. And know that you've succeeded.
What'd you think of that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Scandalous.
I actually got myself a little excited there.
All right, guys. So teespring.com/2 on the Vine. Make sure you get your shirt while supplies last. Let's get on to the show. Hey, Ben. Happy New Year. How are you doing today?
Happy New Year. I am doing well. How are you today?
Pretty good. Just had my first, real day off besides the holidays. I mean, I guess those were all days off, but, a regular day off in weeks, and it feels awesome. I played lots of video games, did a lot of nothing. It was just great. It's been a great 2016 so far. Do you have any resolutions?
That sounds pleasurable, KY.
It was very pleasurable.
Oh, we're doing human speak now. Okay. Yeah, no, my resolution is to have really good all the time.
Yeah, I always strive to do really good all the time. Because if I have good, then I have lots of happy.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Good means happy, so.
That's it. It can. Yeah, and in various definitions, the word happy is almost always paired with good, which is why I sometimes wish I could do good, for many times good do have, when I would then be happy.
Yeah.
So the thing about 2016 is we've got a lot of interesting things coming up this year. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about some of our most excited, anticipated games of the year.
Okay.
We'll also talk about some games that we've been playing.
Uh-huh.
So far, 2016 for me has been I've been playing a lot of the stuff I played in 2015. Isn't that weird?
I not no, that's not weird at all.
No?
But
Oh,
I mean, did anything come out the last 4 days?
not that I'm aware of.
Not that, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of games from last year. A couple older games, but actually mostly recent stuff. I picked up Xenoblade, which we'll talk about a little bit. SteamWorld Heist, I've been playing.
Hmm.
And that game is goddamn incredible, which we'll talk about. Do you want to jump right into the video games? We do have a lot to talk about today, if I remember
We do.
correctly. Yeah.
Well, how about this? Why don't we share one New Year's Eve story each? Just to give everyone an idea of what we did, how our New Year's Eve was. How was your New Year's Eve?
It was good. I actually spent New Year's Eve with Mr. Reverend Scarecrow. And
What?
yeah,
Famous Vinesauce streamer Reverend Scarecrow?
the Reverend Scarecrow came over to my house and gave us massages personally before New Year's Eve. And
Wait, is that true?
no, we played some. we played some games. We played Coup. You ever played Coup?
I watched you play Coup while I was dead tired after PAX.
Oh yeah. That's right. We played some Coup. We played this game just called Zombies with 3 exclamation points, I think. And that game was pretty good. And we watched fireworks, drank champagne, got relatively drunk. I've seen Rev drunk now officially. But then he sobered up enough to drive home. So, yeah. I mean, that was pretty much it. We watched fireworks from our balcony because we have a balcony in our apartment, and believe it or not, Texas has a lot of fireworks. Surprise!
I believe it.
Yeah, like the whole 15 minutes after midnight was just a constant thundering of fireworks going on outside. Yeah, it just endless, but it was great. We're all very excited. What did you do on New Year's?
I'll just say this though, I have 2 comments. One is that fireworks are the least stimulating visual
You think so?
entertainment on the planet. Well, I mean, they're not as good as games or movies, obviously.
I guess that's a fair assessment. I would
There's
say.
no story, man. I never can follow the story. I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, fireworks, what are you telling me?
Well-
what do you want me to know? And then
Well-
I never get anything other than bright.
You are mostly correct, but I saw on the Facebooks recently a video of a fireworks artist whose wife or mother or some loved one died recently. And as a tribute, he made a ladder to heaven. Yeah, did you see that? So
Yeah.
you're wrong, sir. Fireworks can be art, just like my favorite Japanese animes. Okay.
Okay, all right, fine. But as much as I'm impressed by that ladder to heaven, I thought it was cool. It would have been, how much cooler would it have been if he got Led Zeppelin to play live, the 3 remaining living members with John Bonham's son, while a fireworks stairway to heaven happened. I mean, it can't be that hard to organize something like that.
No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he dropped the ball there. What
And
dummy.
that poor guy.
Yeah.
So no, that whole thing about fireworks, we don't have them in New York. They're banned. So it was a very quiet New Year's Eve. I mean, even 4th of July here is quiet. It's like, all right, here's an accurate representation of New York during the 4th of July. And then no more.
That's it.
That's it.
Well, what'd you
So-
actually do though? Like you didn't answer my question. You're dodging
Oh,
it.
God, yeah, I'm draft dodging. Okay, so my friend had a little house party a few blocks away,
Okay.
and I watched my friends play Boom,
Oh, okay.
which is a game with red cups and beer, and you just kind of bounce a little ping pong ball off the table into the stack of cups. And as the stack gets higher, it's a little harder, and it's a game that you can play with like 12 people. I'm not a big drinker. I'm not really a big fan of the drinking games, so I just watched. Hung out with friends, had a few shots of tequila early in the night, and then sobered up because that's no, Jack. We do not do that. I watched people had some really bad times on New Year's Eve, and my number one advice for everyone is always to try to stay in if possible and try
Yeah.
not to stay on the road for too long because New Year's Eve sucks for drunk drivers.
Yep.
So that's obvious, right?
Because who expects to die on New Year's Day after midnight, you know? Like, that can't happen. If you're pretty much invincible after midnight, because it's like, shit, I made it into the new year. Haha, I still have a whole year ahead of me. How could you possibly perish at that point? Like, God would not be that cruel. So, I can't say...
Maybe not God, but a drunk teenager. He could be cruel.
Maybe God is a drunk teenager. Did you ever think of that?
You know what? If you think about the world the way it is, yeah, that actually makes sense. We've done it. We figured it out. God is a drunk
Figured it out.
teenager.
Nailed it.
Right here on your video game podcasts.
I always knew video games would lead to the ultimate answer. And
Yeah.
it was, as expected, very underwhelming.
Well, speaking of underwhelming, the rest of my New Year's Eve was me eating crumb cake. There was just like lots of crumb cake at my friend's house, and
Crumb cake?
I just drunkenly eating and talking about random stuff while like shoveling crumb cake into my mouth.
What's
so
crumb
that was
cake?
my New Year's. It's a crumbly cake
And
with crumbly white powder on it and
it's called crumb cake?
crumb.
Crumb. With a hard
I
B.
swear to God, it's real. It's just
believe
cake
ya.
with like crumbs on top of it, and on the bottom is like a softer thingish pastry, and then you eat it.
Crumb cake.
So happy New
Yeah.
Year's to me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had chicken. Lots of chicken. We ordered from a place called, I think, Lucy's Chicken. Lucy's Fried
Lucy.
Chicken. And got some
Was it
fried
awesome?
chicken. Yeah, and some fried okra and some wings. And, yeah, it was great. And we ate chips and drank a lot of champagne.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, solid.
Well-
I'd rate it in my top 10 New Year's.
Okay, because I would rate mine better than the one from the previous year, in which I went to a crowded bro bar, and it was basically people screaming and fist pumping and spilling drinks, while I had little to no personal space at all, and I loved it. I know that's top one. That's top one.
That's in your top
So-
one.
But no, aside from that, no, I had a pretty good New Year's, but it was a little boring. But that's okay. I'd rather be alive and boring than party like an animal and be in the hospital because I was drinking too much. Jeez, anyway, this got dark. Why don't we talk about video games, KY?
Yeah, speaking of video games and getting drunk, I wanted to read you an excerpt from a recent Dwarf Fortress changelog, if you don't mind. Just more evidence that Dwarf Fortress is the greatest game ever made.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm ready.
let me
I'm
see.
strapped in.
Shit, let me find this for a sec. Release information. Oh, I had it. I had it right here. And now it's gone. Because that would be way too convenient. Well, basically, in the most recent version of Dwarf Fortress, he made it so cats no longer died of alcohol poisoning after walking in damp bars and licking their paws. Because they would walk through bars and the damp floors, which had alcohol on them, would get on their paws, and then they would clean their paws, and then they get so drunk from it that they die from alcohol poisoning.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's true. And then in the latest version, he dialed it back so cats don't get as drunk while cleaning their paws after walking through a bar. More evidence
Wow.
that Dwarf Fortress is probably the most intense game ever made.
Yeah, but it just looks like text.
Well, it kind of is just text.
Yeah,
But- But yeah, they
all
simulate.
good.
Yeah, it's insane. Everything that game simulates, and I love it. And yeah, there's actually, if you just follow the Bay 12 Games Twitter, you'll find some gems on there. I bet I could find one right now that will amuse us.
Okay.
Second tweet. You ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
After many safe and lonely years, Dwarf Fortress finally has giant elephants and hoary marmot people.
Marmot people.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm now confused. I thought it was a completely different type of game, but now I know it's just kind of insane. Hey, I just want to say something.
What?
Rungle foreskin.
Rungle Foreskin?
Yeah.
Is
So
is that your dwarf like alter ego?
I think I would name a dwarf Rungle foreskin, but that's completely separate from what we're talking about. What are we talking about?
We're talking about video games. What have you been playing lately?
I've been playing.
Always do your best.
I've been.
Been
what?
playing what?
Oh, I've been playing a lot of different types of video games that I've been doing my best with. Sorry, it was just a cheap attempt at getting a reaction from you.
I wanted to play
have-
it cool, just like quiet, like that was planned. Yeah, nothing unusual happened there.
Yeah, no, it's like KY totally edited that in, and it didn't
Yeah.
happen live for no reason.
No, that was my soundboard. I don't use it often, but when I do,
I'm a-
it's excellent like that.
And it's a good co-host. I'm actually in the entirety of my speech is I've been streaming for years, so KY has a soundboard that he can queue up of any possible combination of sounds in the English language to create a virtual Vinny that he can control at his own whim.
Yeah, turns out I've been doing this podcast without him forever. I've just had a text to speech configured to his voice.
That's right.
Yeah, easy.
Vinny right now is on his couch playing video games. Which video games, you ask? Well, let me
Well.
tell you.
Well,
He's been playing a game called Downwell,
okay, excellent.
which is a game that you are aware of. Downwell is a really cool game from Devolver Digital that is you have gun shoes and you just fall, and that's the game.
You fall down
That's
a well,
awesome.
as the title
You do.
implies. Devolver Digital is actually the publisher. The developer is, I want to say it's just a single dude. I know on Twitter he goes by Moppin. I don't know his actual
He's
name.
single.
He might, probably. but he made an amazing game. But yeah, published by Devolver Digital. They publish a lot of great stuff. Now I think about
They
it.
do.
They really do. They made Hotline Miami. They made Dropsy, or published, I should say. They published
No
Dropsy.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty amazing track record so far.
Yeah, I mean, Dropsy was one of my favorite games from last year. That game
Yeah.
was just goddamn incredible. But yeah, so you're falling down a well, and you have these gun boots. Think like Cave Story, like the whole shooting machine gun down to kind of hover. That's the main mechanic in Downwell, for those that are listening and need some explanation. How far have you gotten?
Level 2.
As in, like, the catacombs, right?
Yeah, the catacombs. It's hard to get past that, but it is a really cool game, and I'm very excited to play more of it. I have to sneeze. Tried to mute myself while I was sneezing. I'm sorry.
Bless you. Holy shit. So let me give you a couple tips, because I've beaten Downwell. Because there are a lot of subtleties in that game, like a lot that aren't immediately apparent, that I think you will enjoy, or will be glad that I clued you in. You ready?
Yeah.
So one of them, if you're at max health and you pick up an HP item, a little bar appears underneath your actual health bar, and when that's full, you get a permanent extra health.
Oh.
So if you see
That's
a gun,
cool.
yeah, so if you see a gun that's in the shape of a heart, and you're at full health, then that will add to it. Because you do know about the guns being hearts and charges and stuff, right?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, here's another tip for you. The weapons, they're either shaped like a heart or a capsule. A heart will restore one of your health. A capsule will permanently give you an extra charge with which to shoot.
Oh, right. The charges I know. Oh, cool. That definitely adds another dimension to the game.
And then finally, do you know how to combo?
Well, you kind of jump on things on the way down.
Right.
I combo to 11.
Oh, nice. Good job. All
Yeah.
the way to 11.
Yeah, that was my crowning achievement. Or, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Well, you can actually preserve your combo if you land inside the bubble that leads into a cave or a shop. As long as you land in it, your combo will not break. So then when you're leaving, just jump out of the bubble and you can continue,
And continue
your combo.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that saves Once you know that, it's a lot easier to keep a combo going. Of course, you can keep a combo going with like buckets and skulls and other things that you can bounce off of. It doesn't have to be an enemy. And that recharges your gun every time you do. So,
Cool.
yeah.
And again, that's the thing about this game. It seems so simple. Like when you guys, if you want a really cheap, fun, addictive indie game, it only has a few colors. You unlock more colors, which are just replacements for the previous colors.
Yeah, the themes.
But yeah, there's a lot to master in this game, and I streamed it, and I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to.
I'm sad I missed that stream. Yeah, I'm sad I missed it. Well, are you going to be doing more of it?
Yeah, I think so. I'll probably have another few sessions, bro.
It's not a super long game. Like once you're good at it, and you can, you'll kind of beat it relatively quickly. At least that was my experience. Was that it was hard as dicks, but partly because I was playing on my phone, and I got to the final boss on my phone, but was still kind of struggling. Then I sat down on a computer and had a controller with it. At that point, I beat it on my first try, because that's how much easier it is to control with a controller instead of on your little smartphone.
Yeah, the controller is really, I can't really imagine playing that on a touch screen. But anyway.
Yeah. But
yeah.
I haven't even played it since because of how easy it was after that point. I don't know. I have like a ton of themes unlocked on the phone, but I don't want to play it on the phone again. So I want to play on the computer, but on the computer I have like nothing unlocked. So I'm like, what's the point? I don't know. I'd have to build it all up again. But it's just such a cool like action. It's like a more actiony Spelunky.
Yeah, with less variety of things to do, but more. Yeah. It's a game that makes you really want to get good at those few mechanics, so you can just be amazing at it. And it's a really good game for what it is. It's just not overly substantial, but that's fine. If it's not the longest game in the world, I'm okay with that, because it was so damn cheap. But other than Downwell, I've been playing. Did we talk about Counter-Strike? About the revolver that they introduced?
No. Tell me about the revolver that they introduced to Counter-Strike.
Broken.
Really? How so?
Well, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, they introduced a revolver into the game. And the revolver it was basically a one-hit kill.
Okay.
With a little delay. Now, in Counter-Strike, you're not supposed to be able to get a body shot and kill someone unless it's with a specific sniper rifle.
Right.
So this game was just the community went apeshit over this gun, saying it was an $800 op, and it was a really, really garbage addition to the game.
Wow. Jeez.
And it really was. It had piercing potential. You could kill like 2 or 3 enemies in one shot. Granted, you had to be good with the gun, but...
And you say enemies as if it were like common things. When you say enemies, you mean like just other players. Like out of a 5-person team, you could kill multiple of them in a single shot.
Yes.
That is pretty crazy.
So Valve went nuts with this patch, and then they made the spray of the rifles more random, which then pissed off many more people.
Wait, why did they do that?
I don't really know the exact answer. I think they said the rifles were too dominant and they wanted to scale them back a little bit in terms of usefulness. So they decreased their usefulness. And again, the community went apeshit. And now everyone had these conspiracy theories that Valve introduced Broken Revolver to cover up the fact that they wanted to nerf rifles. So anyway, long story short, I started playing the game again. I got really back into it. I'm still playing it like an hour a day. And the game is good now because Valve heard the outcry from the community, and then they removed a lot of the randomness from the rifles, and they completely nerfed the revolver, which is now kind of a piece of crap. But so that's what I've been playing. And the reason I started playing it is because I went on the stream. I was like, I'm going to show you guys the most broken piece of shit ever. And then I showed them the gun. I got a bunch of cheap kills with it. It was like this Counter-Strike where everyone used a revolver. It was just a revolver ocelots. this gun, no, this gun is the best gun. And that was the game.
It's the greatest gun.
It was that. Everyone was that. And then they fixed it, and now it's pretty good again. But yeah, so
Do you
there go.
believe the conspiracy theory that they introduced a broken thing to cover up the nerf of the rifles?
It's an interesting one. I mean, I doubt it, but you're talking to a guy who believes in aliens, KY.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
You never know. You never know. You go up into space in a spaceship and you look out the window and you say, "Oh shit, there's an alien driving a Lincoln. What's he doing? He's in his comfort zone. He's in a Lincoln. He's thinking about life and what's life doing here on Earth." And that's the thing that you get when you drive a Lincoln.
Yeah.
What have you been playing, KY?
I've been playing a couple things. Xenoblade Chronicles X, I played pretty intensely for about a week when it came out.
And that's a Wii U game developed
Wii U
by
game. Yeah, made by Monolith Soft. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Kind of a piece of shit. I'm not gonna lie. I had really high hopes for it because I thought Xenoblade Chronicles for the Wii, the one with
Xenoblade.
Shulk. Well, no, it's called Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh, was it?
And then
this
the
one's
new one
X.
is X for extreme and extra. Whatever else X might stand for. But I thought that was one of the examination, yeah.
Sexual examination. What?
Xylophones. And well, so Xenoblade was one of my favorite games in the Wii. I thought it was just really fantastic. The battles were fun. The world was intriguing. The story was decent. It was good enough that I wanted to know more about it, which is still more saying more than a lot of games can for me. Just everything about it was pretty good, other than the faces, which were awful. Well, they didn't fix the faces, unfortunately, but that's just one of many problems with Xenoblade Chronicles X.
No shit.
Yeah. So
I've heard really good things about the game, though.
Okay, I might be harsh on it. So,
okay.
But here's what I like about it. I'll start with that.
Yeah.
The world is very large and very beautiful. It's one of the best looking games on the Wii U, other than the stupid faces. The faces look horrible, like just weird anime dolls that just don't animate the way they should, and it's weird. It gives me chills. But the world is really beautiful. What were you gonna say?
No, you're right. And anyone who's curious, you should just go to Google right now and type Xenoblade Chronicles X faces, and you'll get a perfect example.
Yep.
And it's really, really, really not good. But anyway, yeah, continue.
The other thing that I like about it, and it's literally probably the only other thing I like about it, is the battle system has potential to be more in-depth than the battle system in the original, because there's more abilities there. You can mix and match them more easily. You can really customize it to match your playstyle, I guess. You have a lot of different classes to choose from. It just feels like they took the battle system from the first one and just cranked it to 11. And in a lot of ways, that's really good. I'm sure that's not even a thing that a lot of people like about it. I'm sure some people prefer the more easy-to-follow, simplistic battle system of the first. And even that one wasn't simple, but everything was more set in stone. It's like how in Final Fantasy VI, all the characters have their own set abilities, and then in 7 you can mix and match more. That's kind of the more what it feels like in Xenoblade Chronicles X compared to the original, where you get a lot of different abilities and you can kind of choose your style more, whereas in the first one everyone just had their own abilities that they learned, and that was it. So there's that. If you like the battle system, you can kind of make it more complex and enjoy that side of it. I guess the only other thing I like about it is the theme. I like sci-fi generally more than fantasy, and even still, Xenoblade the original one was, it was sci-fi enough for me, but this one is even more sci-fi because there's mechs, which is cool because I love Xenogears, and that was one of the coolest parts of Xenogears, and now it's in Xenoblade, and I haven't played with them.
Mechs are cool, and one of the things that sold me on the game originally was when they announced it, and they showed the footage of the mechs and the dinosaurs in this big world. And that was like one of the first reveals
Yeah.
for the game, and that got me really excited. I didn't end up buying the game, but you know, that's what I thought was really cool.
Yeah. And like the original, Xenoblade Chronicles X does that well, where you have these huge, like, monstrous creatures mixed in with the smaller ones, just kind of like a more natural ecosystem of enemies. So that was consistent with the previous one, which is good. They both games do that very well.
Yeah.
I haven't played with the mechs yet because I'm about 25 hours in, and I still haven't gotten to the part with the mechs.
Yeah, I heard it takes a while to get to some of the
Yeah.
good stuff.
Which would be okay if the rest of the game wasn't such a pile of shit, to be frank.
Whoa.
I
Well,
really don't like it. I want to like it, but I don't. And I can explain why. But why don't
yeah,
you
please
ask?
do.
What questions
Oh, well,
do you have about
I
it?
mean, because I've heard great things about it, but I am curious to hear the other side of the argument. And you know, having not played it, I couldn't make any judgment calls. But piece of shit is a pretty strong statement. So
Yeah.
let's get down to it. What is the biggest, the few biggest pieces of shit moments or things about this game? What makes you go so far to say that?
The music is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. The only okay music is in the world map. That one's alright. Let me link you. Let me link you a song, and I'm going to play it on the air. So you can hear
Okay.
an example of what you need to hear when you're in town doing quests at night for hours at a time.
All right. So
I even-
music is a factor for any game for us because both of us have this big love of music, right? So if there is something in a game that I want to be good, it's the music. I mean, well, there's a lot of things you want to be good, but I mean, me and KY might notice it more than some other people, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
Let me listen.
I linked you. I'm going to play it in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh my god.
Here! Oh!
KY, this is dog shit.
Now, would this be bad if it wasn't for the vocals?
It's boring if it weren't for the vocals, but no, it wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, the vocals kill
just-
it for me in this one.
Yeah, they.
Oh! It's
Oh shit.
that's just one of many shit stains of a song in the game. The day music isn't much better. It's slightly better because it's kind of more rock and roll. Here, let me play that one. See if I can find it. New LA. Okay. And just listen to how generic this is. This is like Sonic the Hedgehog levels of generic rock music. Gonna play it in 3, 2, 1.
I hate the sound of that snare.
It's like the pingiest snare from Saint Anger.
It's the Saint Anger snare. Yeah, I was about
It
to
is.
say. That is not a desirable snare sound.
Now, wait till you get to the vocals. Let me see where they pop in. Okay, about 30 seconds in.
Okay, I'm here.
Kind of trying to do the Persona, like, pop music thing and just failing miserably.
I don't like it.
There's this one moment where the lead singer counts. She goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's just horrible. And I gotta find it. I gotta isolate this.
Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's exactly like that. I'm not even exaggerating. Oh. Okay, 2 minutes 27 seconds. Let me know when you're ready.
2 minutes 27.
Yep.
All right, I'm here.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, play.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And then it loops from there. In this video, it cuts into the night music, but in the game, it just loops from the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
1, 2,
And-
3, 4.
And you're gonna hear it about 30 times before you leave the city.
Yeah, that's rough.
And that's not even counting all the scat that's in the song that I generously skipped for you. There is a lot of scat in it where she's just going, gotta go. And it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So
I can see-
point
I
is,
can see
I
why
don't
that
like
would
the
be a
music.
problem.
I don't like the music. The cutscenes are equally just inane and terrible, and the story just goes nowhere, at least in the first 20 hours. It might go somewhere, within 40, 50 hours or so, and the time that I spend in it, which is a pretty generous amount of time, nothing happened. Like, nothing happened. Nothing! I explored some of the fucking planet, I saw some new animals, and a spaceship flew over my city. We met, the big bad alien, which it was just, okay. You've never seen this game. You've never seen what the enemies are like. Describe the big bad aliens to me. Go.
They have mean faces.
Mm-hmm.
They're ugly.
Yep.
They scowl.
Mm-hmm.
They're larger than humans.
You got it. Yeah.
And go ahead.
What do you think they sound like? Like
Pitiful human.
now, if you only knew how dead on that description is. It's so.
Are you serious?
Yes, 100%. They're these big grunty guys with assault rifles going, "We must kill the humans." For a game that comes from, there's a sequel to a game that really prided itself on an interesting plot, at least a plot that kept going somewhere and kept moving forward. Nothing happens in the first 25 hours of the game. Nothing notable happens. You explore the world, and given it's just not that kind of game, and I know that people are gonna, tell me that. They're gonna say, but Kay, why? The game's not about the story. And I understand that. Like, it's a more of an open world exploration game. You explore the environment, which is very nice, very well done, and you battle monsters. If that's your bag, if doing that for 50 hours is your bag, then you might really enjoy the game, especially because the environment's really beautiful, and that's really what keeps me playing, is just to see how the environment's changing. Then, more power to you, but the story is non-existent, and the cutscenes that are there are just do nothing for me. Nothing. They make the same tired joke about this stupid little Ewok. It's nothing like an Ewok, but it fills the same role. Okay, It's a weird little alien creature that joins your party about 5-6 hours in, and they make a joke about eating it. And it's like, haha, okay, look at him, freak out because we're threatening to eat it. They make that same joke about eating it for the next 15 hours. That is literally that character's entire character development, is them saying, man, you'd be great in this stew, about 20, 30 times.
Yes.
The quests are all, go get me a pastry from the bakery down the street. That would make me real happy. Like just that kind of filler bullshit every single time. Or could you go kill? There's some menacing looking wolves right outside the door of the city. Could you go kill them for me? Lots and lots of that, and I can stand that to a degree because it's an RPG. I kind of come to expect it after a time, but
Uninspired comes to mind with the stuff you're telling me.
yeah, there's
I mean,
just
I haven't played it, but just from what you're telling me, it doesn't sound like there's a lot.
None of the characters are memorable. Like everything I liked about Xenoblade, this game was a step back. Almost every single thing. The music is a step back. The story is a step back. The characters are a step back. Even the world, despite it being really beautiful and really well made, I liked the setting of the original more. In the original, you were literally on this giant god that had been petrified over time. So the areas are like the god's knee or the god's arm, and you can eventually get to this point where you see his giant arm reaching out miles into the sky, and that's pretty cool. And then this one, it's a beautiful planet, but it's just these open plains of nothing, and the landmarks don't have as much uniqueness and memory to them. I'm not going to remember the landmarks like I remembered pretty much every landmark in the original. The music is a huge step down. I think I said that about 3 times, but I can't overstate it enough. The battle system might arguably be better, and that's one of the very few things that I like more. I just...
That's a shame.
So much disappointment.
All right. Well, let me ask you on all right, out of 4, what would you give it? A 1, 2, 3, 4.
You motherfucker. I would give it a 1 personally. That just, it's not doing anything for me. I want it to be doing things for me. And there are moments like where, especially a main quest part, which, because you have to do side quests before it gives you the next main quest thing, by the way. Like, you need to do a good 5-6 hours of side quests before the next main quest thing opens up to you. Some of them are okay. Some of them are well designed. You got to cross, a certain bridge. You got to really navigate the landscape. And at that point, it's emulating what the theme of the game is supposed to be, which is being a new species, exploring a new planet for the first time and coping with it and learning, what species are on it and scouting it and just learning how to be, a thing on the planet.
Yeah.
And there are moments like that where it's like, okay, this valley, those creatures are level 50. There's no way I can take them. I got to find a way around. Oh, look, there's a cool cave system over here. Stuff like that. That's pretty good. I can deal with that. And moments like that, I might bring the game to a 2 or maybe even a 3 at its best. But on the grand scale of things, considering how good Xenoblade Chronicles was and how not good Xenoblade Chronicles X is, the only word I have is disappointment.
Wow.
Scathing, I know.
Well, do you feel a bit better now?
Yeah, that I got that out, totally. And I'm sure there's someone who's going to love the game and disagree on every point with me, and I'm okay with that. My personal experience is that the game is kind of a piece of shit, and I want to like it more. And that might be one reason why I'm so negative about it, is because I want to like it so bad. And it's just not good. It's just not a good game.
Honestly, with Fallout 4, I started getting bored of it towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is in place for the game to be great, and I still really like it, but I just start getting bored of it.
Yeah.
And there are things that, when the game is at its best, it really draws me in, but then other times it just feels like a chore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of understand, like there are times when a game, you do want to like it more, but you don't even have the will to turn it on sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not good. So yeah. I kind of get where you're coming from. I'm sorry it's like that with Xenoblade.
Yeah.
That's lame.
If I was going to rank the Xeno games in order from best to worst, like the best being one that you should try to play at some point in your life, and the worst being ones that you could just, your life will be better if you didn't play it. Xenogears is still on top for me. It's close with Xenoblade Chronicles, but Xenogears is from that era of Squaresoft, the golden RPG era of Squaresoft, like the PlayStation 1, the 3 Final Fantasies there. Xenogears was right in there, developed right in there. It was originally going to be Final Fantasy 7. It was developed during Final Fantasy 8. Amazing plot, at least in my opinion. It's pretty convoluted, but it was good. Amazing setting, amazing story, memorable characters, beautiful music. Like, why can't we have another game like that? But Xenoblade on the Wii is next. Xenosaga under that, just because it was really flawed and the cutscenes are way too fucking long. And then last place, Xenoblade Chronicles X. That's how the Xeno series stacks up for me. But
fair enough. Again, this is definitely, you're allowed to feel that way if it doesn't do it for you. Even if a game does do well, even if a game is critically acclaimed in various forms, that doesn't mean that everyone's going to like it. So, yeah, it's cool, man. Understandable. That's understandable. I played a game very different, but I played a game on the Wii years ago called Rune Factory Frontier.
Okay.
Which was highly recommended to me. Mm-hmm. And, this is before I started streaming. And I tried playing this game. And I played like 6 hours of it, and then it tried to get me involved with waifus.
Well, isn't it a Harvest Moon successor?
With combat.
So, but what do you think of Harvest Moon?
I like the idea of those games, and I'm a big Animal Crossing fan, and I played Gary's mod like Animal Harvest Moon stuff, and I thought I would like it. And the game was, people said it was great. It just wasn't for me at all. And once the waifus came into it too, like that was just like I was like, oh, I made a mistake. But more so than that, there was also just a distinct lack of interest in the gardening, in the combat. It's like I understand people really like these Rune Factory games, but for me, it was almost like fun poison. It felt like fun poison to me.
Yeah.
So I just stopped playing it. And
yeah. Those
It
kind
happens.
of slice of life type games like Animal Crossing, I think those are very delicate. Like, if you do them wrong, it's gonna feel really bad. Not like where an RPG that is done wrong can still be serviceable, or like an action game can still be serviceable.
Sure.
But those kind of like chore games where the central conceit is doing chores should be fun. Like Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Those have to be done like just right, or else they just fall totally flat. Or at least that's how
Yeah.
I feel.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I guess a Xenoblade game has to be done just right too.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
Yep. What are you gonna do? So, buyer's remorse. But I don't know. I might still keep doing it. Like, because we got about 20, 25 hours in, I got to the first relatively intriguing plot point, which I'm not going to spoil, but it's a thing where I'm like, okay, I kind of want to know why that is the way it is. But at the same time, if I don't find out the reason for another 30 goddamn hours, then, you understand why I'm apprehensive about it. So,
Totally.
all right. So, moving on. Anything else that you've played that you wanted to talk about?
Not really. I mean, I've been just playing the same stuff from last time, Just Cause 3 a little bit.
Oh, cool.
Like I said, Counter-Strike, Fallout I'm finishing. I played Turok. People have seen me stream Turok recently. The original,
Yeah, I watched a
it was
few.
remade. Really good game. Still holds up in some ways. More ways than not, actually. And I'm excited for Turok 2. Speaking of excited for, what games that are coming out this year are you looking forward to?
The one nearest on the horizon, which is about 22 days away, I'm not counting, is The Witness. I'm very excited for The Witness. I really liked Braid, which was his last game.
Yeah.
Really, really great puzzle game, great puzzle platformer. Kind of ushered in the golden era of indie games, as they say.
Yeah.
Indie games. But
Indie games.
yeah. But The Witness looks really cool. I grew up playing Myst and watching my dad play Myst and Riven, and then eventually playing through it myself, and just being a puzzle person in general. I'm really excited for The Witness. I think it's gorgeous, or it looks gorgeous at least. Apparently there's a lot to the puzzles, despite the fact that they're essentially just like line mazes. I don't know. Have you seen the gameplay?
No, I haven't.
So the central puzzle mechanic in it is distilled to line mazes. You walk around this island and there are panels, and each panel has like a maze that you pretty much just draw the fucking line through it. And on the surface, it seems like the simplest thing you'd ever have to do in your life. But all the previews so far and what I've seen of it, they do ridiculously clever things with them, to the point where the environment really makes a big difference with how you're supposed to solve them, and depending on which ones you do in what order, it affects the environment in different ways. And just, I don't know, I just think it looks great. So I'm excited to play that finally. It's been 5-6 years in the making, something like that.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah,
How long did Xenoblade take to develop?
a year and a half, I think.
Man. Well, anyway, no, longer than that. Xenoblade Chronicles X, but it might feel like it, right?
2 years.
Let's
I
was gonna say,
I wonder when they did start developing that. Xenoblade Chronicles.
I remember seeing previews for that game like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Let me see. Development. The game was first revealed in a January 2013 Nintendo Direct under the tentative name X. So it was at least revealed just about 3 years ago.
2.5 years.
Well, it's
Okay.
January
2012.
2013. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, yeah.
2013. Oh,
Yeah, it was revealed 2013.
I forgot we were in 2016.
I know.
Never mind me.
So, presumably it was under development before that. So maybe 3.5 years at most, which should be
Okay.
enough to make it a really good game. I don't know what happened.
Anyway,
But what else?
Yeah.
What else am I looking forward to? The Witness for sure. Super Hot is going to come out this year, hopefully, and that should be cool.
yeah.
What else? What else comes out this year? Zelda. I want to see more. I want to know more.
Zelda,
I want to know.
Star Fox Zero.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
excited
Star
for that.
Fox. Yeah. Yeah.
Having just replayed Star Fox 64 a few times made me more excited for Star Fox Zero. Like now I'm getting hyped for it, whereas I wasn't. But
Yeah.
now I feel like it's time. I'm ready for a new Star Fox.
Oh,
So
Dark Souls 3 comes out in April. Yesterday I started playing through. I'm gonna try to play through Dark Souls 1 and 2 again before 3 comes out. So that's gonna be cool. I loved Bloodborne. Might be one of my favorite games. It probably is my favorite game from last year. Yeah, Dark Souls 3.
It's cool.
Well, what are you looking forward to?
mainly Zelda, Star Fox. I think the Fire Emblem game, the Dark Side path, that one I'm interested in.
Okay. What are they called?
Fates,
I know, but what's the name?
Nor, and
I almost said
Kumquat.
Hoth, and then I realized Hoth was that snowy planet in Star Wars.
yeah, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. But
Yeah.
before then, yeah, there's not a whole lot else right now that I can think of. I guess that's about it for two.
Yeah.
No, there's more. I just can't think of it. I thought I had even more than that.
I think at the
But, yeah.
beginning of last year, there were more things on the horizon. Like, we knew Fallout 4 was going to be coming relatively soon.
That was only revealed at E3.
Yeah. Oh,
So
wait,
we didn't
this
know about
E3?
that one.
Like, June?
Yeah.
20?
That was a recent. That was a very
But-
recent
But
reveal.
we
and
knew it
then
was
release.
coming. Like, at least I knew it was coming.
Deep down in our cockles, we knew.
Yeah, we could feel
that
it.
we were due for a Fallout. Yeah.
At least I knew Bloodborne was coming, which I guess would be analogous to Dark Souls 3 coming this year. Yeah, I don't know. Call of Duty Black Ops 3, we knew was coming.
Yeah, which I own. I've played it a few times, and it's like, dear Lord. No, it's good. It's decent. It has better things in it than some of the other games, and it still plays well. It's just I'm done with the
Yeah.
whole Call of Duty. That's why I play Counter-Strike though, because I found that it's I have to be like in a very specific mood for games where you just run around and shoot people in the head with little to no teamwork. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what fucked Battlefront for a lot of people, because Star Wars Battlefront was this hyped game that people, well, a lot of people knew what was going to happen to it. But then you find out that it didn't quite work out for a lot of people simply because there's no voice chat, there's no communication. It's just you're spawned and you're put into this clusterfuck of a battle, then you're shot from nowhere and then you die. And it's like right now I'm not feeling that. And Call of Duty is that I spawn, I die. I spawn
Yeah.
again, I die again.
Live, die, repeat. Did you
I live, I die, I live again.
did you see that movie with Tom Cruise? I think it
Yeah.
came out here. Yeah,
Edge of Tomorrow.
yeah, that was good.
Good.
I like
Very
that
good.
movie. Yeah. It wasn't as exciting. Well, I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but you should see that movie, guys. If you like video games, it's a very video gamey feeling movie.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah,
it's based on like a respawning type conceit, but in real life, like
Yeah.
it's like Groundhog's Day in a way. But just go see it. You'll like it.
worth it.
Yeah. But yeah, not too much else I can think of that I'm looking forward to this year. Just those
Yeah,
two
I'm
off the top of my head.
Same here.
Final Fantasy 15, if that comes out. I'm hopeful. I'm not gonna say that I think it's gonna be great, but I'm hopeful.
I'm interested in Final Fantasy Explorers for the 3DS.
Yeah, that's true too.
I hope that one's good.
Yeah.
So, now I guess that's stuff that we're looking forward to, but also it's worth mentioning AGDQ is happening right
Oh,
now
yeah,
during
yeah.
the recording of this podcast. Have you been watching any of it?
Yeah, I've had it on while I was like playing Dark Souls and just sticking around and stuff. We've been keeping it on the TV and just watching. I don't think this year's lineup is as good as it's been in the past, but I've still been enjoying it. I don't know what it is, but I feel this year is less cringy than last year. Like in the announcers, and like there's a very like memey air to last year's AGDQ, and then it's not as bad this time. I don't know. Maybe
I mean, give it time. We'll get to cringe territory, but yeah, for now it's pretty standard stuff. They're doing battle block as we're speaking.
Oh, really?
So,
shit, I'm missing that.
yeah, but I'm excited for the Secret of Mana run on Friday.
I'm excited for tonight's Super Time Force Ultra run. Did you ever play that game?
No.
You should play Super Time Force Ultra, because that game is freaking incredible. That's also, I think, Devolver Digital, now that I think about it.
Jeez.
I'm pretty sure.
On a winning streak.
I know. Like, I think there was one game or something that was kind of a stinker, but for the most part, they've come to be kind of a seal of quality for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens. Sometimes you get a good developer, good publisher. Like lately, Nicholas, I really like them.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, there's
killed
a
it
lot
with
of
Rebirth, so
Yeah.
they killed it with 1001 Spikes. I imagine they killed it with Cave Story 3D, but I can't say for sure.
Yeah, that's apparently rare. Finding a copy of Cave Story 3D is not easy.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Another.
So, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I really don't have anything.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of seals of quality, SteamWorld is proving.
Oh yeah,
to be,
you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
How it's really that good?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's just fantastic. I think it's one of the best games from last year. Maybe not the best, but it's way up there. Probably the best 3DS game that I played last year. So basically what SteamWorld Heist is, which is their new one, the old one was SteamWorld Dig. SteamWorld Heist is essentially an XCOM-like game, but on a 2D side-scrolling map. So rather than a top-down or isometric grid, it's kind of a grid of... It's still kind of grid-like, but your characters are on platforms. They're affected by gravity, so you can jump off of platforms, climb up ladders, and stuff like that. You aim your guns, which you aim kind of like Valkyria Chronicles or Codename Steam style, where you take aim, you aim it, and then you shoot. If you hit an enemy's head, then it has a chance of being critical. If you hit their leg, then they can't move.
It kind of reminds me of Worms.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it does feel very much like Worms, but like a million times more tactical. And you use, items in the field like grenades or jetpacks and other type things. You can only equip a couple items per character, like generally 2 item slots and a weapon slot. The weapons are very interesting. Like there's some weapons that do a lot of damage, but you can't use them after you've moved. So you kind of need to find a good position. They're usually sniper type weapons. They'll do extra damage. But if you need to move, then you can't use it for that turn. There's like shotguns. There's weapons that will stun. Just like these endless combinations of tactical type loadouts that I really like. And it's in the same universe as SteamWorld Dig. Like it's just like robots, except this time they're in space instead of in a desert. It's just great, like just really fantastic. It's almost like they know the genre really well. Like it's almost like they've been making games for that genre. And what really astounds me about that developer is that they put out 2 games. SteamWorld Dig, which is just a platformer, just an action platformer. SteamWorld Heist, which is a strategy RPG. 2 completely different genres, and they nailed both of them as if they're masters of those genres.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know the SteamWorld Dig is a very, very different type of game. You're kind of selling me on this game. I watched a little bit of a video while you were talking about it. It looks really good.
You will love it.
All right, it's on the 3DS only?
Right now, yeah. I imagine it will come to Steam eventually because
How much is it?
SteamWorld Dig did. That's a good question. I think $15. Which again, don't do that thing. Don't be like, well, I don't know, man. It's indie. It's 2D.
No, that's fine by me. As long as it's good. You know what? You really kind of sold me on it. And I'm thinking like, I've been in the studio. We're mixing this album. And there are times when I don't really have anything to do. because I'm just waiting for Joe to mix a drum for an hour and a half. He's like, all right, hour and a half. We got the snare. Snare's all mixed. We're ready
Jeez.
to go onto the kick now. And so I really, this looks pretty goddamn good.
You should play it. I think you'll like it a lot. The characters all have different classes. They gain abilities as they level up. Those abilities range from like doing more damage if you hit an enemy from the back, to like if you are placed next to an enemy or next to an ally, then you'll both do extra damage, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It encourages you to experiment with positioning and tactics in just a really smart way. The levels are randomly generated, but it's not as punishing as XCOM. Like, if a character dies, you won't get a perfect on that mission, and you need perfects to unlock like some of the better weapons and characters and stuff. But that character doesn't die permanently. Each character is unique, and it's just they're reassembled on your ship if they die. So it doesn't feel as punishing as XCOM, and that's actually a really good thing. I mean, if you like that punishing of XCOM, then that's another thing. But for this game, it feels right the way it is. It's just great. And the fact that they did 2 totally different genres as if they had been doing those genres forever is just really incredible. And I can't wait to see what they decide to do next.
Well said. All right, now I'm interested. So, all right, cool. Why don't we speed things along?
Okay.
Why don't we get to our next segment, which will be, you want to do the horror stories?
Sure. So back in October, holy shit, we did.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We read some horror stories, and I said on the next episode we'll finish them. And then here we are, 3 months later, and we're gonna do the other half now, or at least get through as many as we can. So
yeah, a friend of mine specifically requested that we get to these stories, and I mean, how could I say no? Of course, let's do it.
Yeah. So we're gonna be reading spooky stories submitted by the viewers. Okay. This first one is from Mystic Dongler. His name in chat is Donglino, if we want to name. And here's his shitty story, is what it says. That wasn't me, being all Xenoblade on his
Right,
ass
you weren't
or anything.
being condescending, yeah.
No. My family partly owns our great-grandmother's house, which is in a very old town in rural North Carolina. We stay there sometimes to get away from city life. We fish, hunt, etc. Across from our small house. Sorry, this thing lacks punctuation. Across from our small house is a huge Victorian house we simply call the Big House. It's rumored that Confederate soldiers hid in the Big House and fired upon Union soldiers from the top floor. The Union eventually got into the house and killed the Confederates. That doesn't make it spook-worthy. My grandmother told me it was built on Native American burial grounds. Okay. In parentheses, he says, I promise I'm not making this up. Anyway, my family has a lot of history with that house. My great-grandmother was friends with the original residents, and after they died, my great-grandma, grandma, and mom took care of the house. Needless to say, a lot of strange things happened in that house. My great-grandmother says she could see shadows in the windows on the top floor at night. My grandmother swears that she saw ghosts of Native Americans all the time. And my mom... I thought that was funny. My mom says a ceiling fan that she swore was off started spinning out of control, and her dog went crazy and ran out of the house. Most kids hearing these stories would logically stay the hell away from that house, but I had a love for paranormal, so I wanted to go in it. Unfortunately, another family had moved in, so I couldn't really go ghost hunting. My grandma knew the lady living there, and she offered to show me around. During the day, it was just a boring old house. At one point, I pulled out my Game Boy and started playing Pokemon. The woman could see I was bored and told me there was a basement. My ghost hunting senses started tingling so naturally I went down. The old woman decided she's let me play around a little as she could see I was bored. I turned off the lights and used my Game Boy Advanced SP as a flashlight. It made for a shit flashlight, but that's what made it spooky. After doing some pretend ghost hunting, I saw some shadows shifting around, followed by faint scratching, and I ran out of the basement terrified. I was satisfied with my ghost tour. I had witnessed something spooky. I went back to my grandma's house and started playing Pokemon again, but something was wrong. It was all glitched out and making that sound when your cartridge gets fucked up. I shut it off on, and my save file was erased. I was pretty mad, but I wasn't that far in the game, so I just decided to start a new game. But as soon as the game started, it was corrupted, like Vinny's corruptions. All the text and sprites were fucked, and the sound was all screechy. It scared the shit out of me, and I threw away my cartridge thinking that was not me misspeaking, by the way. I threw away my cartridge away, thinking it was haunted or something. Thanks for reading my shitty ghost story. I hope you didn't piss your pants. Well, thank you for that, Donglino. My first impression is that this was made up by a 9-year-old. Just, gave him a tape recorder, said, tell me a spooky story. He had seen Poltergeist, and just rambled for 10 minutes. And this is what came out.
Yeah. I mean, my corruptions can be scary, but I promise you they're not otherworldly. I would say that story gets a 1, 2, 3 out of 10. But it's, I don't think we need to talk much about that story.
Okay. No problem. Let me screenshot.
You want me to read the next one?
Yeah. Okay, let me get a screenshot, a good screenshot.
There's a Billy Joel song called A Matter of Trust.
Uh-huh.
Where he does the count off at the beginning of the song. He goes, a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. And he says 3 like tree.
Tree 4.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, Billy Joel, you don't need to give any shits. Just say it however you want.
There, that should work. That's from
Donglino.
early 80s. Yeah, Donglino, thanks for the submission. It's a good way to kick off the spooky stories. All right.
Okay. Now, I may or may not be downloading SteamWorld Heist.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe.
I'm excited to hear what you think of it. I think you're going to like it a lot.
We'll let you know next time. All right, here we go. This is a story, yes, by early 80s, like you said. Hey, Mr. K. Hui and Sir Weinman. When I first heard about your shtick for October, I wasn't really thinking about submitting the story, but as I thought about it, I guessed I had nothing to lose. I kind of like this story because it's not so over-the-top it's ridiculous, but yet it holds a bit of mystery to it. Okay, I'll stop.
Pretty good stamper.
So anyways,
8 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah, a little stamper.
Feeling it.
Battle block style.
Yeah.
So anyways, my brother pretty much works far away from where he lives, between an hour or 2 hours. So even when he gets off of work at around 7, he still makes it late to his house. So this one time he took a bus he never took before. Even though he knew it would take him close to where he lives, he still wasn't sure where it would leave him. So on the bus, he saw a place that looked familiar to him and got off around 8 p.m. As he tried walking on a direction he kind of recognized, he got lost. He later stumbled in to an old part of town, which he definitely did not know at all. If it wasn't cliched enough, there were barely any lights on the street, and not a single soul could be seen on clear sight. But to me, this wasn't the unnerving part, but what he mentioned afterwards. So he had been walking around for what seemed like half an hour now, and he encountered this really long, dark, creepy alleyway. According to some sign that came along with the other signs that had weird symbols, and others that said, "Enter if you dare." Oh, come on. And proceed with caution. The alley was called El Callejón del Nunca Salir, which roughly translates to the alley of never leaving. Anyway, I don't know if I said that right. Anyway, my brother was smart enough to not enter said alley and proceeded to get home. The end. All right, there's more. After an hour of walking endlessly, he finally found a familiar street and got on a bus that he knew would take him home. So what really raised an eyebrow is that after my brother finished telling his experience, my bro's fiance, who had lived more time around where they lived, said that old part of town was sort of linked to witches and other demonic rituals. Later that day, I decided to do some Googling of my own and see if there's anything about this alley or anything linking to it. So this is where it gets creepy. I found nothing on it. Not even a mention in the old local list of urban stories surrounding witches and demons. As of now, I don't know what the hell my brother encountered, and I really want to know the story behind it. Does this place really exist? Was this a figment of his imagination? What's at the end of this alley? No one really knows for sure, but I dare you to find some information on it. The place should be located at Garcia, Nuevo Leon. Either way, I could have misheard the name, or my bro didn't say it right, but I gotta admit, this gives you curiosity about the place. This wasn't really your generic chase by skeleton story, but I think it's all right. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I again, it's hard to believe simply because you enter if you dare.
The enter if you dare is pretty funny. But the alley of never leaving. What I want to know is why your brother just kind of travels based on whims, you know. He's like, I recognize this place kind of. I'll get off here. You know, he gets off the bus. That street looks familiar. I think I'll go down that street. Like, what was going on? Did he not have his route plotted out there? Like, what? How does he travel?
Yeah, I want to know what's going on with the traveling. But even more than that, you know, there could be, listen, you know, not to take the piss out of it. I'll try to, you know, approach this as if there could be an alley. I would say that there's probably plenty of places that are not easily findable, that have had some weird stuff happen. But, you know, witchcraft, the alley of never leaving. Like, I'm thinking about a
demonic
city.
rituals, yeah. Like,
you know, I'm wondering, like, is this like your traditional alley? Like, the way when you say alley, I think of like Batman's parents getting killed in an alley. You know, like, it's just between two buildings. There's, you know, fucking rafters for people to walk down, fire escapes. And I'm wondering, when you say alley, that's what we need to know more about. And maybe if your brother could give more information, that would help. But,
or
yeah, I mean, it's possible.
Maybe one of our listeners could, you know, spend an afternoon on Google Maps, look up Garcia, the city of Garcia, I guess, or the town or whatever, in Nuevo Leon, and try to find this so-called alley of never leaving. And get back to us. Tweet us. Let us know if you find anything, because I would love to see it on Google Maps.
Yeah, maybe there's something that we could find. But that said, I have a very important question.
Okay.
What difficulty did you start SteamWorld Dig on? Or SteamWorld Heist? Casual, regular, experienced, veteran, or elite?
I play an experienced almost consistently, and it's always been solid. Like, it's never too easy or too hard.
Okay, that's what I'll do then.
I do experienced, but if you're not, if you don't do a lot of strategy RPGs, then maybe normal. But
no, experience should be fine.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna close this for now, and then I'll come back to it. So, I think it's an interesting story. I always like story with good visuals and you know, creepy, unexplainable things. It's just these first two stories are a little hard for me to grasp, because you would imagine that they would just like block the alley off and not call it something cryptic in like a big city.
But that's anyway. Why it's supernatural. It probably wasn't actually there. So.
Yeah, all right.
Well, you're going to love this next story with a subject line of spooky ceiling fan. So this is from Don.
Oh, by the way, Nuevo Leon is in Mexico. So I'm looking it up now. You know, it looks a little old. So it's not like Manhattan City. You know what I mean? There's it's potential to have some weird shit. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
So this is from Don Leonard, spooky ceiling fan. Dear Vinesauce crew, I'm currently a college student who lives not too far from the university. I live in a rented house with two people that I knew in college in an easily over 100-year-old house. We all have our own separate rooms, and one Friday night while I was sleeping in my room, something terrible happened. At 3:15 a.m., my ceiling fan decided to fall out of the ceiling and continue to spin. This is like my worst nightmare. I awoke from my bed not knowing what was happening. A few seconds elapsed, and it was clear that I better do something quick. I quickly grabbed the ceiling fan blades to stop spinning. This did no good whatsoever. I quickly slapped the light switch and the ceiling fan stopped spinning. My heart was beating out of its chest and I had no idea what to do. I stood holding the ceiling fan blades trying to figure out what to do for the moment being. I decided to tie the ceiling fan blades to the base of the ceiling fan with some tube socks that I had. My thinking was that if I could stop the ceiling fan from unraveling further, the ceiling fan itself would not fall completely. After a while, this turned out not to work. I eventually took my music stand and fully extended the stand to hold the ceiling fan blades to keep unraveling further. This seemed to work for the time being. It took everything that I had to fall asleep again and not expect my ceiling fan to fall from the ceiling. The very next day, my landlord replaced the ceiling fan with a new one. My landlord informed me that the ceiling fan was being held on by a single grouping of copper wires. The ceiling of my house could have caught on fire in my sleep, and it's really a miracle this did not take place. What would have caused the ceiling fan to just fall and scare me worse than I've ever been scared in my life? What kept the single strand of copper from snapping from the pressure of the ceiling fan? We may never know. I hope this story was somewhat appropriate for the podcast, and I wish you all best. You guys are amazing. Keep up the superb work. Sincerely, Donald Leonard. Dolan, this, not really a spooky story at all. Were you spooked?
No, I felt a twitch in my leg.
Well, it's spooky in the sense that anytime I fall asleep under a ceiling fan, there's always that lingering thought in the back of my head of, holy shit, what if it fell? But
yeah, sure.
At first, I thought it kept spinning after it had snapped from the ceiling. And at that point, it might have been mildly spooky. But then when it was clear that it was still attached at the wire, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, I see what's going on. He's wondering, how is it possible that this fan did not murder him because of, the faulty stuff? It should have fell. I mean, the copper shouldn't have been strong enough to hold it. And he's wondering if maybe he had someone looking out for him. But maybe that could be it. And if so, I wouldn't really, technology is a wonderful thing. Sometimes copper wires are very strong.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't really know what to say there, but it is something, and I want to thank you for sharing it. So
yeah, thanks, Dolan. Okay, I'm gonna paste you this next one. It's up to you whether or not you want to read it because it's kind of long, but it is submitted by longtime Fine Saucer Tense Condom, and we do play favorites here heavily at Vine Sauce. But apparently he's told it to you before when you did Campfire, and it is video game related, which is a big plus. So I don't know if you want to read it or if you want to maybe do it another time since it's a biggin.
I definitely don't remember it, from Campfire, but I think I might be interested in checking it out.
Okay. You want to read it?
Let me see. Oh boy, that's long.
Yeah. Maybe we'll open the next stream with that one.
Yeah.
4 months from now.
Yeah. I think I'm running out of steam already. So let's just get a shorter one. Sorry.
Okay. Well, here's a short one for you.
Rest in peace, Sleepy Bean Men, by the way. Only a few people are going to get that. But anyway, yeah.
This one's super short, and it's the one immediately after Tenses. You can read that. I don't even know if there's a story here. It sounds more like a synopsis to a story, but you can go ahead and read it.
Hello, KY and Vinny. The story
in parentheses.
I have is...
See?
Yeah,
this time you're in parentheses. How does that feel, motherfucker? Sorry,
KY,
go ahead.
do you play music? I thought only Vinny played music.
All right.
Hello, KY, in parentheses, and Vinny. The story I have isn't something that directly happened to me, but was really scary when I was younger, and still kind of is now. It's a folktale of my country about a small creature called Duendes.
Duendes.
They are lost souls of children who died before being baptized. I just rolled my eyes. They're about 3 feet tall, wear big straw hats to cover their faces, and have backwards feet. Yes, as in their heel faces forward. Legend goes that they will call out to you in your mother's voice to follow them. If you follow them, they will kill you and turn you into one of them. Can't wait to hear your and Vinny's reaction to this. My country has some really messed up folk tales. Can you give me that link that he put?
Oh, yeah. I'll link it to you.
I like the idea that being baptized will prevent you from turning into a backward
A Dwen
foot person.
Yeah, backwards foot person. There's other great ones here like Chu Ryle, D Baba, Dwens is here as well. Duppies.
I like duppies.
Duppies. I'll read Duppies. Duppies are ghosts that roam the earth at night. It is said to keep duppies out of your house, you must either sprinkle salt or rice grains all around the house, as the duppy must first count each individual grain before entering, by which time the sun will have arisen, and they must return to the spirit world. And you know, I think that salt barrier thing is not just limited to duppies. I want to say,
yeah, I've heard that before.
yeah, that's a common one. I like when there's crossover because that almost like gives it more weight in a way. Like, do you feel that? When
Yeah, I mean, but
do you know
it's
what I
also
mean?
possible that culturally, you know, some drunken sailor was at a port in some country and was like, "Hey,
And told it to
here's
a bunch of different
few-
cultures at once. Yeah.
yeah, here's our legends," and then they just, you know, went and made up their own, like, you
Well,
know,
yeah.
so and so heard it down the block from so and so, who heard it down the block from so and so, and then, but no, that's our own monster. I saw it. Yeah, it's a duppy.
But I mean, like, just in the sense that it gives it weight. Like, think of it this way: like, there are a lot of arguments for certain religious icons being factual on the pretense that they exist over several different unrelated cultures. Like, it's almost like that when there's crossover of a concept between multiple cultures. It makes it feel like it's more authentic because, like, why would it occur in multiple places if it didn't actually do a thing? But you're exactly right. It was just, you know, it just spread between cultures, but the feel of it changes when you've heard it in other places. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not entirely skeptical for this stuff. I think there's definitely some weird stuff that goes on this planet, and yeah, I've heard not necessarily that. I heard like rice grains, that some monsters count rice grains, and if you surround yourself with those, they have to count them, and then they go away in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But you ever notice how all these things happen at night?
Yeah, like, where are the spooky day creatures? Yeah.
There aren't many. I mean, the spooky day creatures are limited to like sky serpents, you know, and like weird UFO like sightings that people have. But you don't see a lot. Like do you remember Toil?
Toil?
Toil. Toyul.
It sounds familiar. What's toil?
So Toil is a creature that, hang on. It's a legend.
Toil.
You know, it's one of those things. Toil myth. Let me type it in. Toil is Toyol. Sorry, it's a mythical spirit in Malay mythology, and it's basically you can evoke it with a cup of milk in the morning. You purchase something from a magician and evoking it from its dwelling place. It's an undead creature in Indonesian myth, which created from the mummified corpse of a baby, usually stillborn or miscarried.
Wow.
And it's kept for the purpose of theft or petty sabotage. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, there was a video that was going on the internet of a Toil, and it looked like a golem-like creature.
Yeah. Is
It
it
looked
like a little
like
green, a little green baby creature?
The one that I saw in the video years back was actually just a little black, like thin black figure.
Because the ones
And,
I'm seeing in Google image search are all just little green children.
Sure, I mean that's yeah. I mean that's one of, I guess, the interpretations, which is another weird thing that you learn because it's hard to get a consistency for a lot of these monsters.
I'm gonna link you.
But it was a scary video because it was like they're playing guitar on a roof in Indonesia, and then you see this like weird shadowy figure emerge that looked like it was way too skinny to be a person in a suit, and it was you know, probably wow, that is a green Smeagol. You know, it's almost clearly a fake, you know, because Toils don't exist. But that said, I found it to be kind of frightening. It was definitely an interesting video to watch under the scary story pretense. So anyway,
This next story is submitted by Charlie. He says, I don't know if I want to read this one because it's just it's retelling a thread that he read. It starts with, I remember reading a thread someone posted in which the subject was about this abandoned house, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, sorry, Charlie. We don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, so I'm going to be a little bit choosy here.
yeah,
Either short,
pastas.
yeah, either short or authentic. One of the two. None of these secondhand accounts anymore. We're gonna be picky now. So this next one's from Mitch, and this one's short. So I don't know if I'm too late to submit a spooky story for the podcast, but hell, I'll tell it anyway. I recently moved into my own apartment. This is my first time ever living alone, so naturally all I do is get delivery and play video games in my spare time like the lazy pig I am. One time I was playing very late into the night when suddenly the power cut and everything fell silent. I was playing some horror game on my PS4 and had my laptop in my lap, so the only source of light in the entire apartment was the blindingly bright laptop screen. I looked up into my TV. The TV itself is older, so there's a glass cover over the actual screen part. I clearly get how televisions are built, and my face was brightly illuminated in it. But behind me I could see something else. A long, thin, black figure that seemed to tower over me stood in contrast to the white wall behind it. I was frozen because its shape was unnatural. I mustered up the courage to turn around and face whatever terror lay behind me. I had hung a hoodie on the wall, and the way the light hit it made the shadow extend behind the chair it was hung over. Moral of the story, I'm an idiot and clothes are scary. Dude, this happens to me like once a fucking week. I'm not even kidding. Where I'll like hang up my jacket somewhere stupid and turn on a dumb light and make it face the wrong direction, and then I'll happen to turn and see the shadow and get spooked.
Mm-hmm.
Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah, that's a common thing. I would say that that's happened to many people. Sure. Yeah,
But-
I've had some spoop. There's spoops where you just spoop yourself.
In fact, probably most spoops are actual spoops where you just spooked yourself. Let's face it.
I had a pretty spoopy dream that I don't remember about like really like fucked up demonic shit. Like I don't remember the details of it, but it spooked me enough that and this was just 2 nights ago. It spooked me enough that I woke up and I went on my cell phone for a little bit to distract myself for like 2 minutes and then went back to bed because the thought of the spoop, it was like, oh, this sucks. So I had to distract myself. But yeah, it happens. Self spoops are real.
Here's one about video games, so that's a plus. For those that are just tuning into these episodes for the first time, back in October, we told people to submit personal stories that either happened to them or someone they know, and plus for video game related stories. So every time I get one that's actually video game related, I'm like, yeah, let's fucking do this. There's 2 stories here, so you can choose one or do whatever you want with it, but it's not too long.
Okay. This one's from Silver. And it says here, hi, big fan of all you do. I'll submit my story. I have another one for later. I feel like there's another one that happened to me, but I can't recall right now. But these are 2 completely 100% true stories from me to you. I apologize in advance for my poor retelling of these events. If by some incredibly rare chance you decide to read them, feel free to reword as you please. Okay. This first story is about something that happened to me with, get this, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie video game. This happened sometime a little after the game came out, and about half a year or so. I think it came out about 2005, it says here. So this is when I was about 9 years old and I was in middle school. I was staying up really late and playing video games like all kids do at some time in the early AM. I was playing the Shell City level of the game where you slide down these hoses and try to make it through the obstacle course. Every once in a while, the Cyclops from the film would pop up and growl, and the characters would make some comment on it. Just a nice aesthetic touch to the level. However, This time when I was playing the level, about a few seconds after that would happen, I heard a very infant-like voice say something like, and this happened a few times at night. Or say something, sorry. This happened a few times that night. Some of them I couldn't really make out, and some of them, understandably, I've forgotten over the years. But one I remember very distinctly was a voice saying, "You go, Patrick." I was pretty creeped out by this. Needless to say, I'm pretty sure I haven't replayed that level to this day. What?
So, I guess he's being haunted by a deceased SpongeBob fan, and I was just feeling elated. Like, you go, Patrick!
Yeah.
Ready. Just a little.
I'll read the second one.
Okay.
The other one is less supernatural and more creepy. Well, how is the first one supernatural? The other one is less supernatural and more creepy. I have no idea how long ago this was, but it was quite a few years back when I was really into Sonic Adventure 2, and then in parentheses, get the Sherbert Eggman. Oh.
Fucking damn it.
Eggman. I was looking up info on the game and read that if you pressed some buttons during one of the cutscenes of the last story, Big the Cat would walk by. I thought this was pretty cool, but it was so late. It was late, so I decided to try it out tomorrow. That night, I had a dream about that cutscene. When I pressed the buttons like I was supposed to, Big the Cat showed up, except he was twice as big, had fangs, and was looming over me, staring at me with his now piercing, glowing yellow eyes. He said something to me in a very deep voice, looming closer and closer, and everything around me began to glow red. The rest of the dream dealt with me, as Amy Rose now for some reason, being helped by the military to escape from Big the Cat, who the military had said was crazed psychotic murderer, all while Big continued to chase after me. In the end, he found me and cornered me at Pumpkin Hill. That's where the dream ends. I know they're silly, but they both happened. Even if you don't find them spooky, maybe you get a laugh out of them. Thank you, Silver.
Silver the Hedgehog. Yeah, wow. I want to know what happens at Pumpkin Hill. What happens next?
Let me tell you, you really don't want to know. You don't want to know. Big the Cat, that son of a bitch was psychotic. The military
psychotic
tried.
murder.
They tried to catch him, the military, but they couldn't quite. He evaded them for a long enough time that he was able to escape into the ocean and reemerge as Big the Zilla. And he just, then by then it was too late. The military, the weapons were useless, and Rodan had to come down and fuck him up.
Yeah, I remember that. Let's see what's next. Good story.
I chuckled. I like, you go, Patchwick. Like, that's, maybe that was just one of the voices in the game, dude.
Maybe, yeah. That's a strong possibility.
Strong possibility.
Unless we misinterpreted here.
Yeah, maybe. It's possible.
Okay, this one's from Taka. Hey guys, when you mentioned that you were looking for spoopy, preferably real, and preferably gaming-related stories during your Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes stream, I knew I had to write this one out. As an anxiety-ridden recluse, this kind of thing is a bit outside my comfort zone, but I felt like this story fit the bill too well. I'm never 100% sure that the things I say make sense to anyone but me, but hopefully this does, and hopefully it has even just a smidgen of spook value. This was, of course, an experience that I personally found very unsettling. Some would even say spooky, but I can't say for sure that anyone else would feel even remotely the same way. Also keep in mind that it's been a while since I played this game and longer since I had this experience, so some of the details might be off. Nothing here is intentionally falsified or hammed up. Once upon a time in 2013, Steam had Grand Theft Auto 4 on sale for about $2. It was a game I'd had my eye on for a while, so I was more than happy to fork over the price of a coffee for it. I bought it and played a few hours, eventually getting to the point where you had to do odd jobs for little Jacob. I tried one out and failed miserably. When I got out of the hospital, Nico automatically called LJ to let him know. This is where things got a bit weird. Neither of them said anything. Nico just silently held the phone to his face for a while before hanging up. I think at this point I tried calling a few other people and the same thing happened. I decided to run around and do some other stuff, but it soon became clear that it wasn't just the phone having problems. Nobody was saying anything. Other sounds were still working fine, but people wouldn't converse, complain, yell, or condemn me for my various transgressive acts. Even Nico was silent. Maybe it was just my imagination, but the people seemed generally more subdued as well. I don't recall seeing anyone particularly angry, scared, or otherwise upset about my mischief. I think the police would still show up and attack me, but even they wouldn't say anything or shout over their megaphones like they usually would. Eventually, I became so desperate to invoke vocal reaction from somebody, so I stole some lady's car and ran her over with it. She just silently got up and started walking away. I may or may not have run over her a couple more times, but either way, I quickly realized that every station on the radio was playing nothing but static. I think it was a loop of the static sound that briefly plays when switching stations or turning the radio on, but it's been a while, so I don't remember if that's even a thing. At this point, I paused and checked the options menu to see if maybe the voices in radio had somehow gotten muted, but assuming those are even available options, that was not the case. Even in the part of the pause menu where you can preview radio stations, they only played that weird, short, looping static. I wandered around causing mayhem for probably about half an hour trying to get someone to even let out just a minuscule squawk, but to no avail. Eventually I decided to go back to the house and see if the TV still worked, and to my relief it did. So I just sat there and watched the TV a while, safe in my sound bubble amidst a city of creepy mutes. The whole situation had a surreal and almost apocalyptic feel to it. After having calmed my nerves a bit, I think it occurred to me that a backlog of the voice audio could potentially come back in a focused, ear-piercing, heart attack-inducing blast of noise, so I restarted the game, and all went back to normal. Bit of an anticlimax, I know. So yeah, that's my story. As far as gaming goes, it was probably my most unnerving experience. Definitely more chilling to me than most deliberate forms of horror, and Google turned up very little relevant information in my subsequent search for answers. But hey, I survived. And not even a single hyper-realistic bloody zombie hand or demonic plush toy was birthed from my computer screen like in most other true stories from actual people, so I'll consider it a win. Anyway, I think Vinesauce and 2 on the Vine are great. Thanks for all the countless laughs and hours of fun. That was a good story. What'd you think?
Yeah. I think we need to stop doing haunted video game stories.
Because almost all of them are certainly just like rudimentary glitches.
Yeah, you know, listen, I like the story a lot, actually.
Yeah,
I actually really like
it
that
too.
one.
Like that's those are my favorite kind of glitches, the ones that have kind of an eerie like air to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I like them too. Haunted is a whole different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that said, that was pretty much. I don't think we're going to get too much better than that in terms of video game weirdness. So I think maybe we need to rephrase. Next time we do ghost stories, if you have any really like stuff like that, like creepy glitches, that's I think a better way to describe it. Maybe not necessarily haunted video games.
Yeah. Glitches that
said,
creep you out. Yeah.
I like that glitch, and man, I would love to be able to stream that glitch so much. If you ever find out how to recreate that, send me an email because I'll play it in a heartbeat.
Yep. Yeah. One time, it reminded me of my friend's GoldenEye cartridge, which was really fucked up. It was haunted, I might even say. We would tilt the cartridges a lot because it was funny and it would cause glitches to happen. But his got permanently fucked somehow. And on, I think it was level 4 of GoldenEye, the snow level, the guards wouldn't attack you. Like, they wouldn't shoot you. They would just kind of stare at you. And their faces were all fucked up. Like, one of them, like, there would be ones with totally blank faces. Like, they would have their ears and their hat and hair, but just no eyes, nose, or mouth, just blank. Other ones would have 3 faces, where there's a face, and then where their ears should be, there would just be 2 more faces. Things like that. So it was just this like wintry wasteland of fucked up faced guards just staring at, you know, James Bond as he goes around blowing shit up.
That is cool.
It reminded me of that a lot. It was consistent too. Every time you booted up his cart, it would be like that on that specific level. It's really cool. I wonder if he still has that. I should try to contact him.
I was sent speaking of James Bond, the Sean Connery Bond from Russia with Love on the PS2.
Yeah.
Rachel, who made the plushies for the charity stream, sent me her and her brother's copy of this game, and they said it was all glitched out and fucked up. Like there would be a floating gun and tons of graphical glitches and everything like that. But when I got it, it worked fine.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where it was, even though they tested it and they made double sure, they even sent me the memory card It only works screwed up on their system. So unfortunately, I was going to do it for the charity stream, but unfortunately, I couldn't get it to be like glitchy, so I just didn't do it. But yeah, so
Gotcha.
that's something. Yeah, similar little story.
Let me link you the next one. We have 4 more, by the way. That's it. And that includes this one I just linked you.
Okay, this one's from Candy. When I was about 10 years old, my cousin came over with her 2 children. For some reason that I never questioned. She really wanted to visit various graveyards. One night, she and my mom were talking about something I don't clearly remember. As at the moment, I just wanted some food and only focused on that. Then I noticed something outside. I walked up to the window, and outside was a young boy around my age. From what I saw, he was skinny and had short, straight blonde hair and was pretty pale. He just stood there staring at me. I had never seen him before, and no kids really lived in that area. I looked away for a second, thinking my mom wanted to talk to me or mention me, though it was a false alarm. When I looked back, however, he was gone, as if he was never there.
Surprise.
Nothing was disturbed, and there was no clear signs that someone was there. I stepped away, a little freaked out, and the next day I told my family what I saw. A few days later, I came down to get some food. My mom and cousin were in the kitchen yet again. Everything was pretty normal until all 3 of us heard 3 knocks on the window where I saw the kid. My mom and I gave each other a look that said, "Did you hear that, or was it just me?" My cousin confirmed that we did, sort of, by saying that was creepy, or something. This was about years ago. Oh, or something. This was years ago. I see. And after a few moments, we just went on with our lives, but I was still pretty unnerved. Months later, my cousin was back in California, and my mom called me into her room to talk about something. At first, I thought I was in trouble, or that it had to do with the school or something. Voice cool. What surprised me was that she wanted to talk about what I saw, and which I thought she forgot. She brought up a picture of these 2 boys, one of whom I recognized immediately as the boy I saw that day. These boys, of course, were dead for a long time. They lived during the era where child labor was still legal. Where are you from?
Yeah, I wonder.
And I believe worked on a ranch. Around Christmas, these boys' brothers, who were brothers, were sent out to find a calf that had gone missing, and were told not to come back without it, as far as I know at least. Not much was reported on it. Along the way, a brutal blizzard started, and they eventually, not able to find the calf, froze to death in each other's arms. This honestly seems like sort of a fake tale, but it's true. But this has only happened once in recent memory. My house has had a few creepy moments. My friends and me as well sometimes have experienced, such as my brother, friend, and his dad seeing a girl with long hair run across our driveway. Later, Mom and I found out the 2 boys had a sister. After my mom started to dig for more details, when they had to leave to go home, and my girlfriend and I hearing knocks on the window downstairs and some child screaming, but I was used to that, as there were 8-year-olds around my area who did that practically every night at around 9 or 10 p.m.
Those dang kids. Always running on your lawn, knocking on
I
windows.
know.
Yeah.
I know. You know, I've been waiting for the skeletons, and there hasn't been a single story about someone getting chased by a skeleton. However, these are good stories, just not skeleton stories.
Maybe the next one will have a skeleton.
Maybe. That's weird. I've heard stories in the past, like there's a lot of ghost stories where, you know, the dead come back in the form of a quick, like, kind of vision, and then they phase out of existence. It's an interesting and age-old tale, one that's in many horror books, including one I have about classic ghost stories. So, I mean, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say it's true or false. I'm just going to say that that's got to be scary, seeing something that's there for a second and then not there. My dad had this story when I was younger, that he was playing in an abandoned funeral home. And the thing about this story is we heard it all the time because he was adamant that this really happened.
Huh.
and he was around there, with a few friends, and he was off on his own at one point. He was playing and looking at things that were just in the field right by the home, and he turned around, and behind him was like a man in a suit. Like he thought it was someone, like a caretaker. And he got really fucking frightened, and he started running, and he looked behind him, and there was nothing there.
Wow.
So, yeah, like, you looked at the dude, thought he was in trouble because he was that close to him, started running in this like kind of open area, turned around, and there was just nothing. And he started running, and within like, from what I remember of the story, it was within like a few seconds, the dude disappeared behind nothing. There were no objects there. So that, like, when I heard shit like that when I was younger, that's what made me sort of start to believe this stuff. So,
Wow.
I believe that there's some weird shit that could happen like that.
Yeah. Okay, this next one, skimming over it, it does sound very good, but it's just way too long. So, Lexi, I apologize. Gonna be skipping yours tonight. You think I would have done this before the podcast? Nope. So, we're gonna move on to our final one. This is from Jethrobot. A story that her math teacher told in junior high class. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
Okay. My teacher's friend, I'll call her Jenny, confided in her the events of this story. My teacher's pretty open to the paranormal and had seen weird shit happening to loved ones and friends. Jenny told her that all her life she could see a man that no one else could see. He was of average build, slightly transparent, and wore an old-fashioned baseball uniform with a cap that partially obscured his face. Every now and then Jenny would notice him out of the corner of her eye watching her. He never did anything, or really moved much, so Jenny just accepted him as a benign yet odd part of her life. One night, Jenny and her husband were invited to a party up in a pretty mountainous area. It was pretty ritzy, and a lot of her friends were there, so they made the long drive up. Late into the night, Jenny noticed the man in the baseball uniform pretty clearly in her line of sight, which was highly unusual. It was starting to rain outside, and she was getting some uneasy vibes, but she brushed it off and decided that she would leave later that night after the rain let up. Around midnight, the husband drove down the now slick mountain road with Jenny in the passenger seat. As he came around the bend, he started to hydroplane and lost control of the car, swerving fast into the guardrail. The last thing either of them remember is the husband screaming Jenny's name and the sound of crunching glass and metal. When he came to, he checked his injuries and was relieved to find he seemed to be fine, besides a couple of bruises and cuts, which was extremely lucky as the car was a complete wreck, and then checked for Jenny. She was not in the passenger seat. He got out of the car frantically looking at the hood or signs of where she might have gone through the windshield, and instead found her in the middle of the road. It was the way she was lying there that shocked him. Jenny was laying on the center divide on her side with her hands folded under her head, and under that, the emergency blanket from their truck was folded under like a pillow, like a mattress commercial. Her clothes were neat and straightened, and she didn't seem to have a scratch on her. He immediately woke her up, and she had no memory of what happened after the crash. The both of them believed that the man in the baseball uniform had been trying to warn her of the impending danger on the road, and saved them that night. They now refer to him as her guardian spirit. Hope that's entertaining or somewhat believable. Half of the stories my teacher told could have been fucking with us, although that just doesn't seem like something she would do. From Lauren, a.k.a. Jethrobot.
Jethrobot.
Jethrobot. What? Jethrobot. Yeah.
The guardian spirit story. That one I've heard in various incarnations.
I just heard a guardian spirit story like 4 days ago from my boss who believes it. Or not even necessarily guardian spirit, but like a precognition thing where his wife was driving and then was just compelled with this really inexplicable urge to just stop for some reason. Like just totally overwhelmed with this feeling. And she decided not to. And then later on the news, she found out that some dude had killed himself around the time that she was passing that bridge that she wanted to stop at, and he had jumped off the bridge or something like that. I don't know. And then, like, 3-4 weeks later, she gets the feeling again, just feels utterly compelled to stop. So this time she decided to do it because she felt really guilty over the last one. And when she stopped, she noticed that there was a car flipped over, obscured by some trees in like a forest next to the road. And she went in and like pulled a dude out and saved his life pretty much. Just like in really close bursts like that, she had this really overwhelming sensation of needing to stop. And in both cases, there was someone's life in danger.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like, stuff like that is just crazy. Like, do you think that precognition is a possibility?
Yeah, I think it's. I think that there's situations that, like I said, you can't really explain. Like, my mom used to get weird dreams about hurricanes and tornadoes before they were even like announced or like would happen, and she used to also know when people died, or like she would mention someone that she hasn't mentioned in years, and then you know we would get a call like that week or that day. So yeah, that's kind of some of the reason why I do believe in this stuff. Yeah, I think there is a possibility that that's real, and the guardian angel story, or the intense desire to do something, yeah, it's unexplainable. Yeah, it makes no sense. But yeah, I mean, people have stories about it, and I've never had it happen to me, as far as I can tell. But yeah, there's some really, really bizarre stories about that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna say that was interesting, Jethro. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a good one. Thank you very much for that. That actually concludes our stories. I might do maybe Lexi's next time, just as a one-off, or Tense's.
I could do Tense. You can do Lexi's.
Okay, because Lexi's looked pretty good. It was just long,
yeah.
So
we'll do that. We'll have two long good stories for next time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Some people can feel disturbances in the Force, you know. So.
That's actually
not
Star Wars.
That was not Star Wars.
I know. It's funny story. There was an interview. There was an interview with Adam Driver.
Yes.
Some lady was interviewing Adam Driver, and you know, she was getting a lot of Star Wars shit wrong, and then yeah, at one point she started going and he was like, yeah, well, that's not really Star Wars, but okay. It was funny. It's funny. But yeah, so yeah, let's talk about Star Wars. So
we'll start spoiler free. Just for those listening, if you haven't not yet already tuned out, we'll start spoiler free, and then we will give you an inexplicable spoiler warning, at which point you can duck out to the end of, like, I guess the rest of the episode. You can just stop listening there.
When you hear the spoiler warning, you will not be able to explain it.
Yep.
Because it's inexplicable.
It's inexplicable. Yep.
So yeah, we're gonna start with just impressions and thoughts, and you've probably already heard some of mine, but then we're gonna go into spoiler territory. So that will be more in depth, and like KY said, feel free to just stop when we say spoilers if you haven't seen it, and you know, that'll be good enough.
Yeah. So just what'd you think of it in 140 characters or less?
Was good, got money's worth, had entertainment, overjoyed to hear music and see visuals.
It was very nostalgic, which,
yes.
You know, there's a reason for that, which we'll talk about after spoilers, but it was nostalgic without being overtly so when you first view it. It's only in retrospect when you realize... retrospect, I can say that word. When you realize why it's so nostalgic. But I thought it was very well done. It beats the living shit out of the prequel trilogy. And, you know, I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was good. I mean, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan anyway. Like, I have always enjoyed them, but I wouldn't call myself, like, really into the series. So my standards aren't too high.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I enjoyed it a lot. It's not to say I didn't have a couple of issues with it, but for the most part, it was just a really solid adventure. Really, really fun. Memorable, for sure. And I think it's going to lead to some great places. Like, I think it sets up as Episode 8 pretty well, and I'm excited to see where Episode 8 goes, considering what Episode 7 was.
Yeah. That sounds good. I kind of feel like I have a very similar review. It was good.
Yeah.
That's the review.
It was good. You know, for all the hype, there isn't a lot to say about it other than that. It was just good.
There really isn't, because, you know, here's the thing about it. It's kind of crazy because the movie itself blew me away in terms of how competently made it was, and how it checked all the right boxes. But it didn't feel like it was like fan service to the point where it was distracting. I mean, sure, there were a few introductions where they just kept happening, and I was just like, I know there's going to be this next, and there's going to be this, and then we'll see this. But I feel like it didn't bother me too much because they got so much else right. My friend Billy said the flaws don't matter in this movie because I enjoyed it so much. And that's kind of one of those things that, man, that's like a tough thing to say. But when you have a movie like this that does so much right, that isn't the prequels, it feels good to have a Star Wars movie that feels like Star Wars again for me. And that's why I'm willing to overlook a lot of the flaws or perceived flaws. So
Yeah.
I agree with Bill. I know I shouldn't necessarily just blindly go with it, but I'd also say that I've been hypercritical of movies in general, but also of the Star Wars movies as someone who's been a fan since, you know, when I was 10, 11. A big fan too, not just a regular old little fan. Like, oh boy, I used to watch these movies all the time. So getting Force Awakens was cool. And so
Yeah.
I will say this, anything negative about the movie, I feel it's certainly valid, but it didn't detract from my overall enjoyment of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good blanket statement. I think I agree with that 100%. Are you ready to go into spoiler mode?
Yeah, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, you can just probably just end the podcast now, because we're just going to say our goodbyes after this.
Yep. The only thing I was going to say at the end is the t-shirts, which you probably heard at the beginning of the episode. But teespring.com/2 on the Vine. Number 2. Go get your t-shirt.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, check out any info you may see, or just check out the Vine Sauce Teespring store, and you'll see it on there too. So check it out. It helps the podcast, and you'll enjoy it, and so will I.
Yeah. So, spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers. Chewbacca dies.
Rest in fucking fur.
Yeah. But, okay. So, it's no surprise, or it's no secret at this point that it's pretty much a carbon copy of A New Hope in a lot of ways. Like, it has the same exact story beats and everything. It does have its own unique things, and when it does have those unique things is where it falls flat to me. Like, when you have Kylo Ren being like, I will finish what you started. That just confused me a lot, because it's like, well, what did he start that he wants to finish? Unless maybe you have more knowledge about Star Wars.
Yeah,
you could probably...
I can shine some light onto that.
Okay.
So Kylo Ren seems to be one of the bigger talking points of the movie. A lot of people say he's a bitch. I went into a deli, and this dude that knows I like Star Wars, he's like, oh, I haven't seen it, but I heard the villain was a bitch. I'm just like, I was like, I like the villain. Now, the thing about Kylo Ren is he is the embodiment in some ways of, he's kind of a weird meta character in some ways, because he's a Darth Vader fan. And when he says, I'll finish what you started, he is basically saying he wants to finish Vader's mission. He wants to finish what Vader began.
Oh, make Luke into...
To bring order to the universe. You see, the Imperial kind of... All right, there's the Empire has a very specific kind of feel. It's like order. They want order. They want everything to be under one thing. They want, you know, everything to be done a certain way. And they want the dark side to be, you know, free of any restrictions of like stupid senators. Because in the prequels, the Jedi were basically puppets of the Senate, you know, and it was like restrictions of the Force. But when you're a dark side user, it's more about being able to do whatever you want unrestricted. And I think this is my interpretation. I think what he wanted to do was finish Darth Vader's legacy because he's a big fan and he has the helmet and he's really interested in becoming very powerful like Vader, who, as we'll learn, spoiler, is his grandfather.
Yeah.
So I think he wanted to just kind of go with that Imperial dogma and just finish and unite the galaxy under one iron fist of the Empire, or in this case, the First Order. So that's my interpretation.
Okay. Thank you for that. That makes a lot more sense. I don't know, because by the time Return of the Jedi ended, or by the time Vader had gotten to that point in Return of the Jedi, he was just the Senator's bitch. Like, he didn't have
He was the Emperor, yeah.
Yeah, the Emperor's bitch. Yeah, that's what I meant. He didn't have like a goal or like an end game other than maybe turning Luke to the dark side, and that was only because Palpatine wanted him to turn Luke to the dark side. So when he said, "Sorry, go ahead."
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. No, you go ahead. You go ahead. I have a correction though.
Okay. Well, so when he says, "I'll finish what you started," I was like, I can't think, because to me, Vader was just, again, the Emperor's bitch, so there wasn't anything he started, just what Palpatine wanted, I guess. I don't know.
Well, Vader wanted to actually get Luke over to the dark side so they together could kill the Emperor and rule the galaxy as father and son, which is a line directly from Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
So he wanted, like, Vader did, at a certain point, did not give a fuck about the Emperor, but he knew he would not be able to overtake him. But with Luke's help, together they could perpetuate the rule of two, and they could fight the Emperor and then rule the galaxy as father and son. So I'm thinking, yeah, Kylo Ren wanted, that was more part of what he wanted. Yeah.
So what did Kylo Ren want exactly other than order?
Power. To be the darkest, the baddest motherfucker that ever lived.
Like, what was he trying, like, specifically, what is he trying to finish that Vader started?
I don't know if I think I pretty much.
If there's anything else to say,
I see what you're doing here. I see what you're doing.
I can't. In my mind, I'm trying to put something less abstract to it. I'm trying to, because when someone says something like "I'll finish what you started," to me, that is a definitive intention. It has very specific goal in mind.
Well, like, you have to ask too. You know, if he was the chosen one, Vader. And he brought balance to the Force, or was supposed to bring balance to the Force, then maybe
Kylo Ren thinks he'll finish bringing balance to the Force.
Yeah, maybe, you know, the idea was, well, he brought balance in the sense that he brought the dark side, you know, into the forefront, and he made the dark side more powerful. I don't know. So maybe he thinks he's the chosen one. Or something like that. I don't know. It's hard to say. You are correct.
Okay. I mean, you know more about it than I do. That was just my impression. The other, and this is a relatively minor thing because it's just suspension of disbelief, but I'm kind of in the boat of the people who feel that there's no reason Kylo Ren should have lost to Rey and Finn. Despite, I mean, sure, they make a huge deal the whole time that Chewbacca's blaster is crazy fucking powerful. The fact that the dude took a direct hit from that and then goes into a fight directly out of that, I can understand that logic, but even still, considering he could stop like a blaster laser in midair with the dark side of the Force, or with the Force I should just say, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that he would lose in a fight to Rey, even if she is a strong ass fighter.
Well, I have a few things to say about that too. I think Rey was trained under Luke
beforehand.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think she was forcibly, forgive the pun, forgotten about her powers, which is
Okay.
part of the title, The Force Awakens. It's awakening in her.
Okay.
I think she has a very strong connection to the Force, and I think if she was trained, that would explain it. If she wasn't trained, then she's part of, say, the Skywalker bloodline.
Yeah.
But you'll also notice early on, she's been taking care of herself for years, and she's pretty badass with that staff.
Yeah. Oh, of
So-
course. She's a good fighter, no doubt. But to me, an untrained Force user against like one of the most powerful Force users that was around at the time, I don't know. It just
Sure.
doesn't add up to me.
Sure. Well, that also, fair enough. And also Finn held his own against him for a little bit. But you could also say, okay, so he was damaged, but he
Damaged.
also he was damaged in a
Did
number
you
of
know
senses.
that I'm damaged? Sorry, go on.
Did you know? He was shot with the bowcaster, but also he had just, and this is the big spoiler for the movie, he had just killed his father. And in the novelization, it says he thought it would have made him more powerful, but it just made him feel worse.
Okay.
And I think that's the thing about Kylo Ren that makes him an interesting villain. He's conflicted. He's screwed up. He's
Yeah.
tempted by the light side.
Yeah.
There's not like this temptation of the dark side like Luke.
Like all
There's-
the fucking time in any other Star Wars
Right.
narrative, it's always the dark side being the tempting side. It
he
is.
views,
Yeah, I agree 100%. That it's interesting to see him struggle with being tempted to the light side.
He views Vader as having been seduced by the light side in his final moments. And that's backwards to what people see, from Star Wars, where they, it's like, oh, you're seduced by the dark side. In this case, he was seduced by the light side, and he sees it as him being seduced by the light side, and perhaps, what he could do is this. He could succeed where Vader failed. Vader lost to sentimentality by letting Luke take him over, like with the goodness, and then Luke killed the Emperor, and then the Empire fell. And the only reason that happened is because Vader fucked up in the one moment he needed to most. And so Kylo Ren, I guess, knowing this, he says, well, I can succeed where Vader failed. I have to not be sentimental, and I got to kill my father, and that way I will be cleansed of all this, and I'll be fully transformed to the dark side, and I will be powerful. And he does that, but it just made him feel like shit.
Yeah.
And I think he was, the same reason he didn't block the bolt from Chewbacca's bowcaster is because he was so fucked up emotionally. His head was swimming, and then they fought, so he's already an emotional wreck. Then
Yeah.
he's physically fucked up, and then you have Finn, who is, a stormtrooper. He's trained. He gets kind of fucked up early on, but Rey, who's really charged emotionally at this point, she basically kicks his ass. Not without a fight, though.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
just, yeah. So
Yeah.
I buy it. I mean, sure, you can call this rationalization, but I buy what happened at the
Okay.
end.
Sure. And if you can buy it, being more of a Star Wars, more immersed in Star Wars than I am, then it probably makes more sense than my conviction on it. How would you feel about Snoke? Because he was an interesting dude.
I think the rumors about him being Darth Plagueis are correct.
Oh yeah, is that I haven't heard that one. I haven't been doing too much research about rumors and theories, but
Yeah.
could you explain to me?
Yeah, so Snoke, I didn't like his CG very much.
Yeah, neither did I.
It took me out a little bit of the movie. But I thought, it makes sense that there's some bastard manipulating things, and that's why Kylo Ren was, basically turned away from Luke's training so that he could, fill the evil purposes, the nefarious purposes of Snoke. I think ultimately Snoke is going to prove to be an interesting character later on, whether or not he is Darth Plagueis. But Darth Plagueis was basically Emperor Palpatine's master. Plagueis taught Palpatine. And if you watch episode 3, Palpatine talks to Anakin about, have you ever heard the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Uh-huh.
And he tells him that Plagueis discovered a way to influence life and death. And it's heavily implied that Anakin was created by Darth Plagueis.
Right.
Like, you know, like by manipulating the Force, right?
Uh-huh. Midichlorians.
So yeah. The story goes Palpatine, fuck those. The story goes that Palpatine killed Darth Plagueis in his sleep. But, you know, at Star Wars, there's ways that could be retcon. Maybe he was killed, but maybe he had discovered the secret to eternal life. You know, you'll notice his face is disfigured, the Snoke guy. Mm-hmm. And I think, okay, here's a few things. The music from that opera scene where he talks about Plagueis in episode 3 and Snoke's theme are apparently like almost identical.
Ooh.
Which leads people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the best kind of evidence to me, is because that's to me almost objective. It's like the next closest thing to objective evidence in a theory like that.
And John Williams is not stupid. He's a very smart composer.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there was an intentional clue in there.
Now, speaking of theories, who do you think? Because Rey is obviously related to someone, or at least that's what everyone assumes. What's your theory with Rey, or what theory do you subscribe to?
What I've heard is that this Star Wars story of 1 to 9 is basically a Skywalker story.
Okay.
You could say Kylo Ren is a Skywalker because he has Skywalker blood.
Yeah.
You can say that. So it's possible that he is the Skywalker and that Rey is just a student. I think they are nailing us over the head, and I've seen the movie twice, but they're beating us over the head with the idea that Rey is...
Hello? Hello, Ben? Hello? Okay, then. Well, I guess you guys will find out next time. Let's try to call him back, shall we? Hello?
Do we have connection?
We do now. We'll see how long it lasts. But the movie's beating us over the head with the evidence that she's a Skywalker, but maybe a red herring.
I think, yeah, it's possible that it could be a red herring and she's not a Skywalker. And maybe this is J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan's attempt to say, well, you don't have to be a Skywalker to be a hero. And that the villain is actually the Skywalker, being Kylo Ren. Because the midichlorians kind of fuck things up a bit. And it seems like to use the Force in this Star Wars movie universe, you almost have to be a Skywalker.
Uh-huh.
And it's a little annoying, and it's not as universally all-encompassing as the Force originally was, or is thought to be. So maybe JJ is throwing this all at us to be like, oh, she's definitely this, she's definitely this. But it's also possible maybe she's not anything special in terms of family lineage, and maybe she's just a girl who Luke trained a bit, and, you know, she's remembering all her stuff. And maybe the next movie we'll find out that the villain is the Skywalker and the hero is just the anonymous everyday whoever.
Yeah, that'd be a nice way to bring it back. The theory I like, and you've probably heard it before, but just in case you haven't, I like the idea that Rey may be Obi-Wan Kenobi's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard that one?
I heard it.
Okay. And this one has, like, again, that same kind of evidence where you were saying Snoke's theme is close to Plagueis' theme. Is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. This one has a couple of interesting tidbits where, like, Josh Boyega, is that his name?
John
Boyega's, he has an accent in real life. He has an English accent. And so does Rey's actress.
Right, Daisy Ridley.
Right, but they specifically told him to not use a British accent, but they let her keep hers. Now, you know that Obi-Wan, of course, spoke with a British accent. Or at least some kind of accent.
Yeah.
So there's that, which seems pretty deliberate to me. mixed with the fact that during Rey's flashback sequence, there was a male
You hear-
voice. Yeah, the male voice talking to her was Obi-Wan's voice.
And actually, and the crazy thing is that was actually Alec Guinness saying
Yeah.
Ray,
Yeah.
because the sound designers took. JJ admitted this. He said that they found a clip of Obi-Wan saying "afraid,"
Oh, really?
and
I thought.
they cut out AF and then the D, and it went Ray.
Oh, I thought
But-
they actually got him to record a thing.
Well, Alec Guinness is dead, but they
Oh, shit.
they did get Ewan McGregor in there, and Ewan McGregor actually just went in and did the line and then left. But after they got him to do the line, they found out that it was that they could do this with Obi-Wan with Alec Guinness's word "afraid" and turn it into Ray. So what they did was they combined Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor's versions of the line into one. So when you hear Obi-Wan say Ray, it's both actors.
So, to me, that is the biggest piece of evidence that she is Obi-Wan lineage, or Kenobi lineage. Because why the hell, he's not even really that relevant at this point to put that little detail in. I don't know. It seems very painstaking if it wasn't going to have a payoff in some way, if he wasn't involved in it in some way, you know?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think there's, again, if you want the most impact, I think it would be best to have her not be related to anyone.
I agree with that. I think I would prefer that to her being actually related to someone, but it's better than her
again,
being a
I haven't-
Skywalker.
Agreed. Yeah. Again, because it's so, I mean, and Luke is like a monk, you know, at this point, and I don't know if, what's he been up to? Does he have a wife? Did he have a wife? It's hard to really imagine that, but maybe Obi-Wan, who is a similar hermit type figure, had a wife at some point while he was on Tatooine. But the thing about it is, if he did, that's his granddaughter, likely.
Yeah.
If you think about it. So, there's a whole family line that we don't know about. And I think both are pretty, my theory and the Obi-Wan theory are a little bit unlikely, but they're at least more interesting than, oh, it's Luke's daughter. We didn't say it, but,
Yeah.
here it is.
Well, I'm sure that at this point they know the audience expects her to be Luke's daughter or a Skywalker in some way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I could see. I think the Kenobi one isn't even necessarily unlikely. I won't call it likely, but
No, it's
I
possible.
think given the voice acting thing and the fact that they put in Obi-Wan's voice just for that one little sequence is very telling, to me at least. That's the way I see it.
I don't disagree at all, actually. I find that to be also very interesting.
Yeah.
So,
So that's pretty much it.
but it's kind of cool how the movie is sparking debate like this. Isn't that kind of
Yeah.
nice?
It is really nice. I like it a
Yeah.
lot, and I'm excited to see how it blows up in Episode 8 and everyone's pissed off.
Well, it could, but I think Ryan Johnson's going to do a great job. Apparently, his script is very good, and Ryan Johnson directed Looper and Brick, and he is a fantastically smart director.
Yeah.
I think he can do it. I think he can do it. Because him and JJ worked on the overall story, and then now it's up to him to do his own movie. I think 8's going to be awesome, and I think 9 is going to be. I think it's going to be a repeat of the original trilogy. I think it's going to be good, great, meh.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm
'Cause
interested
they even
to
got
see.
the Jurassic World director for episode 9. So yeah.
But
Anyway,
I
go
am
ahead.
interested to see where 8 goes, considering 7 was more or less a retelling of 4 in a lot of ways. Or it was not a retelling, but kind of it mirrored it in a lot of ways.
Yes, mirrored is
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm interested to see what 8 does, since it kind of has to stand on its own. I don't know. I mean, I guess it could just mirror Empire Strikes Back in ways, but I mean, we'll wait and see. Considering what JJ said about being jealous that he's not directing this one and how great this script supposedly is, I think it's going to be something really unique, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, apparently Lawrence Kasdan said that the script for 8 is weird. He said it's a little weird, and he means that in a good way. Like he was like, it's weird as in like, you know, he's taking risks, and that's nice. I hope that continues.
Yeah, I agree. While I was watching it, I got to eat Star Wars themed food. I got to drink a Tatooine Sunrise, which was a cocktail, while eating a trash compactor, which was the name of the pizza. And shit, there's this animal that they eat in the Star Wars universe, and they were these, but skewers. I'm trying to remember what they were called.
Womp rat?
No, it was something. It was like something that is a delicacy. Ah, shit. I gotta find this Star Wars.
Romulan ale. It's not even the right universe.
Okay, I got this menu. You ready for these things?
Yeah.
This is what we ate, or at least had available to be eaten. Nerf strips. That's what they were called. Nerf.
Okay, like you're a scruffy looking Nerf herder.
Yeah. Let's see. Trash compactor pizza, which was mozzarella, blue cheese, pear, pecan, green onion, and bacon jam. And that was goddamn fantastic. I did not have this one, but there was a Yoda soba salad. Wookiee Wasaka berry crepes. Jabba's critter fritter. And Tatooine sunset. And a gold membrosia. Which I don't get that reference. You probably do.
I don't get it. No, I don't.
Really?
I don't know what that means, no.
Huh. Weird. I wonder what that means. Oh well. It's on the Star Wars menu. But yeah, I ate some of those things. And it definitely enhanced my Star Wars experience. And I wish I always had food that was themed after the movies I'm watching.
Yeah, of course. And definitely not just a tie-in to get people to buy more food.
Yep.
You know, like really unique things that are not just like your everyday chicken object.
Yeah. So make sure you get your 2 on the Vine sauce that to dip in your pod chips when you're listening to the next episode, guys. You can order them.
It's a combination of me and KY's favorite sauces. Okay. So what's your favorite sauce?
Oh man, my favorite
Ranch?
sauce. No, it's probably this habanero relish that I had recently. That was amazing.
Okay, so it's a mix of habanero relish with like the pizza sauce from my favorite pizzeria.
Yeah.
So that's got to taste like hot garbage. But it is Vine sauce. It is the sauce, the 2 on the Vine sauce.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Let's wrap up. Did you have anything else you want to say about Star Wars?
There's a book I have called the Star Wars Episode 7 Visual Dictionary. And it's a small little book. Well, it's about 80 pages. It's like a coffee table book. But it's really fun. It's really good. There's a lot of good information in there, especially like the politics. It's light on politics, but there's some information about the Resistance and the New Republic and the First Order. So I will say this. I really liked the movie. I enjoyed it. There's some stuff in there that you could go a little deeper with that wasn't in the movie, but it is fleshed out in other ways. So if you're ever interested in looking up that stuff, some of it's pretty good. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, nice. I've always considered trying to delve a little bit into extended universe stuff. Never really have, other than a couple of games. Like I played Shadows of the Empire and I loved it. It's pretty much the only. Oh, and I grew up playing a lot of Super Empire Strikes Back, and I liked it, but that game was hard as shit, man.
Yeah, I never completed it, but it
difficult.
It was really cool. So yeah, that's about it then. Yeah.
All right. Well, next episode, maybe we'll just polish off the spooky stories with a couple that we skipped this time that we really wanted to read. I think we got to get back to Greenlight Guess next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's been way too long since we did that. And there was even a listener's mail or 2 waiting for us that are months old at this point. But, you know, video games first, as always.
Video games first.
Maybe you'll get to tell me your impressions on SteamWorld Heist.
Okay, yeah, next time. Definitely.
All right, everybody. We will see you next time.
Signing out. Good night.
Later.
And goodbye.
Bye.
Yoda bless.
Bye.
Bye.